All right, welcome everybody to this month's edition of Inspiration Friday. I'm really excited to have one of my friends on today. Nathan, why don't you go ahead and introduce
Hi,
yourself?
my name is Nathan August, local photographer out of Rhode Island, and field staff for Tim and my friend.
Great. Yeah, Nathan and I have known each other for, I guess it's about a year and a half
Yeah,
now,
I'd
maybe
say.
close to a year and a half. And we actually got to meet in person at Huntstock in Massachusetts last August, which was great. Really enjoyed
A lot of
that.
fun.
And I've gotten to know Nathan. And you know, when I Nathan, when I wanted to start this series, you were one of the people that jumped in mind right away. And I know I talked to you about this months and months ago, that last fall actually, that I wanted to do this and start this following year. And your story is one that really inspired me right from the start.
Well, thank
And
you. Thank you.
yeah, and uh, Nathan's a very talented photographer, but life took a little bit of an unexpected turn a little over a year ago with his job, with his photography. And Nathan, why don't you go ahead and share a little bit about the incident that kind of changed your life a little over a year ago?
Well, yeah, so um, I was, self-employed landscaper by trade almost my whole life, and unexpectedly had a seizure in my sleep, sustained 5 broken vertebrae in result of the seizure, and you know, kind of things took a little turn for the unexpected, and didn't know what the future held. It just so happened it was about a month before my regular season starts for landscaping, and um, really always had the passion for photography, and need to figure a way to get some income coming in with the whole healing process and figuring life out and all that. So decided to create my website and pursue my passion for photography. I'm also trying to get into some conservation photography as well, and do some publications and stuff like that. But one step at a time.
Yeah, and I remember talking to you back when this happened, and I mean it's something like that certainly throws your life for a loop and
It certainly
knocked you
does.
right out of your landscaping job. And what was it like initially trying to get over that physical hurdle, emotional hurdle? What was it like trying to kind of get life back on track?
It was tough. It was really tough. It was a good 3 months or so. I mean, I couldn't walk really without some sort of crutches or um, support to hold myself up, and uh, I didn't really know what the future held. It was mainly mentally the most challenging. I'd
Mm-hmm.
say physically, a year later, um, I'm probably in the best shape I've ever been in. Um,
Yeah, I've been seeing those pictures. You're pretty ripped.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there, but I was living the everyday grind. Just not taking care of myself, and who knows if the seizure even had something to do with some underlying health issues I didn't know about. But um, I've
Yeah.
built myself back up. I've got stronger, and basically back doing everything I love to do.
Yeah, and when I looked at your photography, kind of, I'll say before the seizure and after the seizure, before you, it was kind of a hobby, and you're taking pictures, amazing pictures of deer and owls and such. And then I noticed a change after, and it it's funny how sometimes the kind of the life setbacks and challenges, I sensed a whole new appreciation for your art and your craft. And it's weird to say, but I could begin to see it come through in your photography, and not just in your pictures, but also in terms of how you describe. I'm actually going to open up a sequence of pictures here so we can kind of look at what we're talking about. And as we look at this sequence here, and let me make sure I think I'm yeah on this one. I think I'm where I need to be here. So, when I see pictures like this, and when I make sure I'm at the first one. Oh, I'm not. Let me go back. Okay, now I'm at the first one. Sorry about that. When I look at a sequence of pictures like this, obviously the picture's amazing as we begin looking through, but I hate to say it, you kind of take it for granted that I'm watching this and I'm watching it happen as I begin to look at this sequence. But what kind of preparation, what kind of time goes into catching a sequence like this?
To be honest, these pictures are literally like 3 years in the making. There's a spot I go every year, same time of year, and the ospreys do their thing. And when I wasn't taking it as serious, like you had said, I had my spot. I'd go sit and I'd do my thing. And I noticed over the course of the first 2 seasons, the activity of where the ospreys seem to be fishing the heaviest due to the current and little cove with a point and so on. And it just so happened that the sun comes up in the east to give it that nice backlighting. So I made the move, put the kayak in the water, kayak down the little tributary a little bit, got set up, and I did that every day for about a good month, and just so happened that all these frames would one day out of that whole month. And just right place at the right time. The whole month I sat there, the ospreys were fishing in a whole completely different spot. But that one day with the sun just coming up with the horizon, with the backlighting, it was really a lifetime experience for me. As simple as it is as an osprey fishing, but I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and I mean, we see sometimes sequences like this in video, and on what I'll call the National Geographic type shows. But keeping in mind, they sometimes spend months out there with video cameras. It's their job.
Oh yeah,
and they're just waiting for that one moment to capture it. But you're doing this as a hobby, and you said you kayak this tributary every day for a month.
Yep, every morning. I basically take pictures every morning religiously. That first couple hours a daylight. Just something about
it's just
that morning light and the animal activity from going from overnight to daylight. There just seems to be a good amount of activity versus evening. Not that evening's not good. I just prefer the morning.
Sure. And I mean, each one of these pictures I look at, I'm just amazed. And when you're photographing an action sequence like this, are you just kind of holding down a button that is just automatically shooting a certain number of frames per second?
Yep. So it's a high frame, well, not real high, but about 12 frames per second. But the biggest really thing is in the challenge is having the settings right, your exposure and all that for an unknown subject, as far as you don't really know and you can't set the scene per se for what the animal's going to do. So there really is a lot of luck involved. Um, and the main thing really is just acquiring focus is the main challenge, especially with stuff that's moving at a high rate of speed, and then even with all the water and spray can interfere with focusing. So um,
Hmm.
I do a lot of auto focusing, but then at times, as it's auto focusing, I will play with the focus dial and let off the autofocus for certain shots where it's critical.
Now, as you're taking these pictures, do you have this feeling in your head like, I got it? Or are you not entirely sure until you're actually looking back at what you did?
Um, there's sometimes I know and sometimes I don't. The one good thing about the camera is my camera will not um, release the shutter and snap a picture unless it is somewhere in focus.
Okay,
So if it's not in focus, it's not going to snap any pictures. But I do get some blurry shots because it didn't fully acquire focus.
sure, sure. Um, what are you feeling when you nail these down? I mean, I look at them and I'm amazed, but you're the one putting in the time, the effort, paddling up that tributary out there every morning for a month.
Oh, it's
Like, what's the reward? What's the reward for you?
um other than a big dopamine hit from the adrenaline of the excitement and it's almost like hunting when you get that excitement of seeing an animal coming in and
Hmm.
you don't really know what the outcome's going to be. You're going to either miss or
Sure.
you're going to accomplish, the harvest or and the picture taking's really that's what it is for me. And even with some of the deer I take pictures of, the bucks, it's almost like a romance in a sense where
Hmm.
I'm taking pictures of these same deer year after year, and they're in areas that are heavily hunted, and here I am, you know, within decent range sometime year after year. So it's a fun thing where as much as I do like hunting and stuff, that relationship, so to speak, year after year with some of
Hmm.
these animals is kind of a little more fulfilling and rewarding at times.
Yeah, it's something I think people have always really misunderstood about hunters is, people that don't hunt or don't have members of their family that hunt, they look at us as we're just out there to kill a deer. But, when you see a lot of those kind of viral videos and people are rescuing a deer or getting a buck untangled from a fence or doing it, it's usually hunters
Exactly.
that are doing it, people that hunt. And because of the respect for the animal. And I mean, I know I love seeing the deer. I love hunting the deer. Love harvesting a deer, but I also just enjoy watching them. It's one of the,
Yes.
I think it's why we probably love archery season so much is we get to get up close. So I think sometimes it's hard for people to look at it and say, Nathan, how could you possibly shoot that buck after you spent all this time photographing it? And that's kind of the balance of what we do. We love and appreciate the animal, but we
Exactly.
hunt, and that's part of our passion as well.
Exactly. There's a real intimate um, feeling relationship that comes with it, and then just the things you learn, observation things of all animals. Like um, I've learned different little nuances of when certain birds are going to take off, or um,
Hmm.
and that's one thing that's I think made me excel in my art and passion is those little nuances. A lot of times I'm ready for what's going to happen from something I just seen take place, or so um, and then the other thing too is some of these animals, they come back to the same spots every year traditionally,
Mm.
which helps a lot of the success I have too. Is you learn patterns of different animals and different times of year and what they're doing throughout the season, and um, very rewarding. I feel a lot of life
Yeah, this is
lessons
one of
in it too.
yeah, this is one of those photographs that when I look at this, I'm like, this is a badass picture. I mean, you look at that osprey coming down. It's like that is. I mean, could you imagine if you were actually a fish and look up and saw that coming? How terrifying that would
Oh
be.
yeah, and they're moving at a pretty good rate of speed sometimes too, doing that free fall.
Yeah. I want to get to these are great shots of Turkey, but you mentioned getting more. And what I love about your photography is it's very diverse. Your birds of prey, deer, turkey, birds, and kind of what you're capturing from some of these photos of these birds. And um, this one looks like a husband and wife to me. I look at this one and I'm just picturing the husband on the right shriveled down and the wife on the left
And you're exactly
yelling
right.
at him for
You're
something.
exactly right. That's exactly what's happening. Yep.
Yeah, he didn't do something right, and she is letting him know it.
Oh yeah. Yep. There was a good
And and
little scene right there, and I had
and then
been.
there he made the big mistake of talking back. He was doing okay when he wasn't fighting back. Now he's starting to fight back, and that wasn't so smart. Tell me a little bit about how how this process helped you from a healing standpoint, emotionally and mentally, because when you suffer, an injury like you did, you really had no control. It happened during your sleep.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even something you can look at and say, man, that was just stupid. I fell down the stairs or I got hit by a car. This is something you had seemingly no control in whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it was really tough, and I kind of looked at the photography too as a form of meditation, and it just a few hours of the day to
mhm,
really not have any of that looming thoughts on my mind, and it was a something to just focus on being in the moment, and this is what I was here doing, and none of that other stuff really mattered, and life's one of them things where you don't realize how short and precious it is
mhm.
until tragedy strikes, unfortunately, and
Sure.
I
And
got a lot of fulfillment. Like I said, it was a form of meditation, and just having a clear mind, and even pushing myself to get out and try to take pictures versus sitting on the couch and feeling sorry for myself,
mhm.
um, and dwelling on uncontrollable things.
I remember when you posted either this picture or one of the other ones in this sequence, because the osprey was going after a fish that was right amongst those ducks. And this is the one I looked at that if these ducks were wearing pants, they certainly would have shit them
Oh
because
yeah,
that osprey coming down and grabbing right in amongst them.
it was a very close
I
call. The ducks were literally just a couple feet away from where the osprey hit the water.
yeah. Yeah, that had to be one of those heart stop moments for the duck. And I know I'm going through these pictures, and each one I look at, I mean, it's just remarkable what you're able to capture. Like the angle on this one, the clarity of that osprey, the canoes in the background right before it is about to hit the water. That's just an amazing shot.
Yeah, it's a challenge, I got to say, because you're starting way up in the sky on the bird as it starts to free fall, and now you gotta match the speed of the bird, and as you're moving with the camera, you can't see the water line until the bird
Hmm.
actually hits. So now you have to stop or try to stop the motion of the camera as the bird hits the water, which is one of the main
Yeah.
challenges is knowing where to stop to be able to get that whole sequence of it now hitting the water and then coming out of the water. I found that to be one of the hardest parts is stopping the initial swing from the free fall.
So, I think a lot of people first of all, I think a lot of people don't realize they have talent, but I also feel a lot of people kind of take their talent for granted. And like I said, I noticed a change in your photography. I noticed a change in how you described your pictures. Talk a little bit about how you felt before the medical situation and after, and how it impacted your how you felt about your photography. What changed and what your photography meant to you?
Well, like before, it was just a fun thing to do, and there was really no seriousness behind it, and then when I decided to um, try to make a business and get my prints out there and different items I sell and whatnot.
Mhm.
I took it a lot more serious and just I've always kind of had an eye for detail, and I felt I've applied it more, um,
Mhm.
and um, and I also upgraded with a camera too, so that did help a little bit also. But you could have a $100 camera or a $5,000 camera, and if you don't know what you're doing, it doesn't matter which camera you're using. So a lot of it's just learning. Um, Learning the camera is the biggest thing, and as um, as time went on, I've just got better too. As I took things more serious, um, and that's the thing I think with talent is a lot of people have talent. A lot of people don't know they have talent, but the more you do things and the more you want to learn, I think the talent just shows itself even more. The amount,
Mhm.
the more time you put in, and it's just about being serious. I think how serious you want to take things you do, and that's kind of how I feel on that.
Now we're on to one of your favorite subjects, owls.
Yes,
You have a special place in your heart for owls, don't
I
you?
I do I do. The One of the ultimate hunters. I feel just how quiet they are and secretive, and they're really hard to find in nature. Really, they've been one of the hottest animals I've tried to locate and get pictures of.
Yeah, I've had owls fly in or fly by me in archery season, and whereas every other bird you can hear their wings flapping, man, when those owls come in, it is pure stealth and silence. And
Yep,
we know it's their feathers and how their feathers have the more what I'll call furry, I guess, but that really
down or whatever.
muffles the sound.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but they're you wouldn't expect a bird of prey that size to just silently glide through the woods and not hear anything as they go by.
yep.
I've called them in turkey season, where you're hooting to try to get a turkey to gobble, and an owl answers back, and sometimes an owl flies in to check you out, and just always amazed how stealthy they are.
They are, and like I'm saying, to I mean, you can go out just before dusk and you can hear them. You know, there's a lot of owls around, but to actually find where they're inhabiting is quite the challenge I've found. And then again, it comes down to just those little subtle nuances of things to look for.
Hmm.
You know, owl pellets. One thing I've noticed is owls are always where the best food source is. So there's going to be fields or somewhere where there's a lot of moles, voles,
Hmm.
mice, so on and so forth. And believe it or not, neighborhoods, there's probably more owls in neighborhoods than there are in a lot of vast open
Yeah,
woods.
we have our little street and cul-de-sac is 15 houses here out in the country. And this is the second year in a row now we have a barred owl family. I can hear down
Hmm.
across the way down in the woods behind my neighbor's house, and I'll tell you what, they would not be lacking for moles in around here. My yard, I used to never have moles in my yard when my Brittany's were alive because my one would find them, dig them up, and kill them and let them lay out in the yard. But now that the moles and voles are wreaking havoc, so I could certainly understand why the owls would be hanging out
Yep, took
here
me a
with.
long time to figure that out. I've walked through a lot of woods looking for owls, and little did I know, I just had to just drive around some neighborhoods for a bit, and that's the thing too. You know, with the photography, there's a lot of times I'm in the woods or um, you know, on the water and so on and so forth. But then there's a lot of times I get a lot of pictures right from the convenience of my driver's seat. Just happen to
Mhm.
be driving by, see something, and pull over, shut the vehicle off, try to get the camera out and up, and everything set right to get a picture. And that's some of the fun about it too. Is you know, driving around taking pictures is um, you almost get a little rush trying to get the camera and get it up in time and make sure everything's right to get a properly exposed
Mhm.
picture.
Yeah, I love this shot because he's got a mouthful of vermin there. Did you count how many? Or I see
I
three
I
tails at
believe
least.
there's four, possibly five, and that's a female, which she had just gave birth to pups. I assume the pups were just weaned, but she had a little stash. It was a very cold morning.
Uh-huh.
Um, she didn't catch all those at once. She had them stashed there, and
Okay.
I was walking this marsh, salt marsh, and I seen her come across the road from a neighborhood into the salt marsh, and she just happened to walk down the wall. So I got on the backside of some cattails and I ran as fast as I could to get past the wall, and I started mouth squeaking with my mouth. And she
Hmm.
turned around, came back down the wall, um, and I watched her dig in the grass, and she came out with a mouthful. So she had like a little cache stashed away, um, which I noticed that's what they'll do. They'll hunt. They'll just go out and hunt. They'll stash the food. Then they'll come back for it at a later date versus bringing each individual mole back. And you know, time time
Yeah,
conserving. Smart animals.
they are smart. They have their own little nature pantry of stashing what they've got. That's a great shot there of that because the eyes are shut and she just looks so satisfied that she's got a mouthful of those.
Yeah, well, I honestly think she took them because I was there and she didn't want me to take them. To be honest, you know, crazy as that
Yeah.
may sound, but she did not want me to know there was a cache there. I think so. She grabbed them and took off.
Yeah. Just to look at a couple of your other pictures that are not necessarily animals, but beautiful picture of that little suspended walking bridge.
Yeah, and
It's a
believe it or
great
not,
shot.
that's the oldest wire suspension bridge in the country.
Really?
Yeah, and that is in New Portland, Maine.
Okay.
I went up there for a couple weeks this past fall and happened to come across that and had to get some pictures. So, and that this picture is actually of the salt marsh where I got the pictures of the fox. One morning, probably looking for the fox, if I my memory serves me correctly.
Yeah, I mean, these are just great shots. And what I want to do that, I mean, this one's fantastic. The calm water and the mirror effect.
Yep. So
Um,
that's one of my favorite type of photos to try to catch is or capture are reflections. Just something about reflection shots uh, really excites me.
yeah, there's another one, another great reflection shot. Um, and I want to share your website because I know I got my dad an iPhone case from your website. He loves it, and I bought one of a large version of one of your prints. So let me just show everybody your website here.
Yeah, I gotta
And
say that
okay,
the cell phone cases are probably
oops, that's the Facebook page.
the um, the bread and butter of what I'm doing. Yeah, I've noticed. I've sold a decent amount of prints too, but the phone cases seem to be really hot item.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I think well, you know, everybody likes and has a phone now, and um, it's just nice having something unique on a phone case versus just your run of the mill plain case and
yeah, and I'm gonna when I post this, I'm gonna have a link to your website where people can go in and purchase items. And right now, for some reason, it's slowing up a little bit on. I can see it fine with what I'm sharing, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it with. Hang on one second. All right, I got to share. All right, let me try and fix this. Bear with me one moment.
yeah, no problem.
You know, you practice these things and they look like they're going to be great. And the next thing you know, you get a little glitch right in the middle of everything.
Yeah,
So
it
let's
happens.
do this. Okay, let's try this again. All right. Okay, I think we got it now. So we'll share the website, and then you can come into the store, and you can scroll down here and see where you can get a lot of these pictures on either a T-shirt, a print, phone case, and a mug, and you can see some of the photographs that we didn't look at when we were looking at earlier that are available for this. That buck there, the hunter's dream, that's an amazing picture. Were you familiar with that buck when you got that photograph, or
Yep,
was that
that's one of the bucks I was talking about earlier, as far as having kind of a history with over the course of a few years, and I sat in that spot for a long time trying to get the sunset behind that deer, and um, just just a lot of history, and just to watch him grow and what he actually turned into over the course of 4 or 5 years was just amazing. This past year, I haven't seen him, so I don't know really what happened to him. I think old age might have just finally caught up with that buck.
Yeah.
Um, but just
Yeah. When
lot of time spent capturing some of these pitches, and um, as many great shots as you feel and I feel I have, the amount of stuff that I've missed or just have witnessed with my eyes. Um,
yeah.
I'd I'd pay millions of dollars to get some of them shots. You know,
that's that's the way it works. And I mean, these are showing basically a lot of the photographs that are available, and you can get the fine art print, the phone case, the T-shirt with these various photographs on. But just I know my dad loves his phone case I got for him, and I love my fine art print. And this I believe it is the Hunter's Dream that I got on my dad's phone. Actually, I think it was this one. Actually, I think it was
the Tracker Sunrise. Yep, I
Tracker's
think you're
Sunrise.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I think that's the one that I ended up getting him because it was a sunrise like that.
Yep, and
So
I'll
beautiful.
be continually putting more stuff on, and I've actually got a lot of requests for different calendars. I've had a lot of requests for calendars, so that's something I've decided I'm going
Oh
to look
yeah,
into, and not sure the direction I'm going to go, but I might do multiple species calendars or different categories, but um, that's in the making. So there'll be some calendars, and a lot of my newer stuff will be going up soon. I've been in the process of moving and stuff like that. So
sure. Yeah, I mean these it's so unique to get something like this on a phone case or a mug or a fine art print, and you didn't have this site before you had your incident a little over a year ago. You didn't have a site
yep,
up to
I nope,
sell this
I
stuff.
didn't, and even just setting up the site and learning the site and all that's been a learning experience too, and um,
Hmm.
I'm finding that real fun and challenging, and really just my whole outlook on life since the seizure has been a blessing too. You know, um, just in challenging myself more and just taking things one day at a time, not taking life so serious.
Yeah. So we probably have a lot of people that have not had a medical incident um, to kind of help give them that perspective that you now have. So you gained a lot of that perspective through your unfortunate circumstance, and it really kind of gave you even more drive for your passion for photography. What advice would you give to people that they're kind of going through life? They got the problems, they got things going well. What would you do to encourage people to kind of dive a little bit more into their passion, explore some things? What kind of advice would you give them, and what kind of reward would you think they'd get out of that?
Well, I think as far as advice I would give is, you know, don't wait till something tragic or just don't wait. Anything you want to do or you have an excitement in, just dive in and do it. Um,
Hmm.
you're not gonna, even if you fail, you tried, and that's what life's all about is trying different things. And even if you fail, just keep trying, and you're gonna get better at it. And that's just from personal experience, and not even from the seizure. I've had um, other hardships in my life too, where um, if I didn't have the seizure, probably some of them might not have changed too.
Hmm.
You know, and just don't be scared to try. Don't worry about people judging you. Just be yourself, and I'll find you're gonna find that more people are gonna accept you than not accept you.
Yeah, it's one of the things, I think a trap that people fall into with pursuing their passion is they compare themselves to what others do. Like, okay, maybe you don't have a camera like Nathan has, or maybe you can't get out there every morning and wait for those perfect shots, but you can still get out. You can still get a picture. Maybe it's not close up, maybe it's far away. But I think a lot of people pass up on the joy of pursuing their passion for fear of not measuring up to what other people might think about what they're doing.
Yep, correct.
It doesn't matter what it is, photography, crocheting, my daughter-in-law's crocheting now. She loves it. Keeps her hands busy. She really loves doing it.
Mm-hmm. And I was victim of feeling the judgment and stuff like that. And I've got to say that's one of the biggest things I've let go of since then. And it's been a tremendous weight off my shoulders, and life's turning around for the better, as much as it was hardships and all that. But
yeah, I was a scout leader for over 20 years, and I dealt with youth in the venturing program. It was co-ed, ages 14 through 21. So you had a lot of them that were going out of high school to pursue, whether it was college or trade school or something else. And so a piece of advice that I always gave them was, don't just do things you're going to be successful in. I did an Eagle Scout board of review for a young man, and I asked him, what is something that you're really fearful of? What's one of your biggest fears in life? And it wasn't losing a family member. It wasn't, house burned down. It wasn't anything that you'd think health-wise. His biggest fear was failing a test. And I said, I have this friend, Dr. John Holbrook, who went to, he got a divinity degree.
Okay.
And after he got his divinity degree, he was kind of kicked out of seminary because of a situation where he was translating a computer science book into Latin or something, and it was a forbidden book in the church. So anyways, he's like, what am I going to do next? So he decided to become a doctor. Every single medical school in the country turned him down except for one, and it was Harvard Medical School, because they get this one crazy box they save every year for the most non-traditional med student.
Wow.
So when he went there, he started taking a course. He took this chemistry course, and the professor told him, you're going to fail this course. Like, you've had no background. You went to divinity school. You're going to fail this course. And what Dr. Holbrook told him is, yeah, probably. But you know what? I'm going to learn more than anybody else in here because I don't know anything. And, he was like, oh my gosh, this is what a sugar is. And as he learned, he approached it with a sense of wonder and amazement that, wow, I'm learning all this stuff. Isn't it cool? The professor did pass him. Dr. Holbrook said it was partially earned, partially mercy. But I actually told that young man that story. And I said, if you don't take chances, if you don't take risks, if you only take classes you think you can get an A or A in, you're missing out on so much. If you only pursue hobbies or passions that you're going to be successful in, and you're not taking a risk to try something that you might fail in, you get one life. We get one life to try things that we might not be comfortable with. We got one life to try to pursue those passions, and regardless of whether they can take pictures like you or take a picture that's not that great, but they love doing it and they love putting it in the wall. I think that's
exactly.
Yeah, it's a great message for people.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm always trying to encourage people to, just try it. I mean, I'd rather see you try something and decide you don't like it, or try something and not do a great job, or try something and fail, than, take the side road and do something different that's completely in your comfort zone.
Exactly. Exactly. Getting out of the comfort zone is the key to a lot of things in life. And
And thank goodness not everybody, has a medical incident that kind of that they need to kind of kick their ass, so to speak. I mean, you already had a passion for photography. It's just really because of the physical limitations that really thrust you into it more and really, had more of appreciation. But I think it's hard to instill in people, and I hope they walk away from this particular interview with you thinking, you know what, I've always wanted to try this, and you know what, I might not even be good at it, but I'm going to do it. I think we see a lot of that now with like the wine and painting classes that people do, where they'll go and they'll have wine and they'll paint something. And I've seen some pretty good paintings and I've seen some pretty awful paintings.
I agree.
But they're trying and they're out there and they're doing it. And, I artistically, I could not draw a convincing stick figure. Both of my boys are both very artistic. I got nothing. But I do love photography.
That's the thing. I mean, if I showed you some of my first pictures that I took, you'd be like, why are you even doing this? But but like I said, it's a passion. And in the beginning, I didn't really even care if they were horrible pictures. But through the process of enjoyment and all that, look what it's blossomed into. Sure. I have an eye. I have the eye for it, but as far as some of the skills set involved, a lot of it was learned through trial and error and just the drive and passion.
And just your love for being out there. I mean, whether it's hunting, whether it's photography, sometimes you're combining the two, which is great.
And I've always had a passion for the outdoors. I'm big into foraging and all that stuff too. I've been into that well before even the photography and just think it's just in my nature as a being.
Yeah, and I appreciate you continuing to share, because I've learned some things from you just from some of your short videos. My favorite was your analysis of deer droppings. That was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Your very, very precise analysis of deer droppings. My more younger experience with deer droppings was when we would go out, my brother would pick up a handful and chuck them at me. That was kind of a lot of my experience with deer droppings, as brothers would do.
Raisinets and sneak a couple in the pack.
No, thank goodness no. Thank goodness no. But Nathan, anything else before we close out here you'd like to share with folks?
Other than just very appreciative and happy I got to meet you and became friends and part of the WTF Camo family. I don't really think I have too much more to say. Just very appreciative of what you're doing for the hunting community and just people in general. Just
yeah, and I mean, I really appreciate you. Thanks for coming on. And when you do these kind of things, sometimes it's hard for people to talk about things that they've gone through like that, and kind of be a little bit vulnerable, sharing kind of what that was like. What was it like trying to come out of that? It's still a process today. You're working through the physical components of really getting back to where you want to be. And like I said, I see those gym pictures. You're looking pretty good, dude.
Thank you. Came a long way.
It's paying off.
Yep. I gotta say, I have very little back pain now.
Good.
And a lot of it is as far as the gym and fitness was just getting them back muscles strong and helping support the vertebrae that I broke. And my chiropractor is very impressed. She can't believe the change I've made in a year or two from sustaining such an injury, and just very blessed and one of them things that only I could do it and make myself feel better, and
Hmm.
it's one of the best feelings I got to say is just knowing you can achieve things that you didn't think were possible.
Yeah, and I hope for people that are watching this, you kind of walk away with life's precious. You never know when it's going to deal you a little bit of a side turn. Maybe life's already dealt you a side turn, and instead of kind of sitting back and feeling sorry for yourself, or sitting back and thinking life's not fair, it's not. But if life hasn't thrown you a curveball, or if it has, I hope you're inspired to kind of do what Nathan did, and dive into one of your passions. And
Exactly.
if you haven't been thrown a curveball in life, dive into those passions now, because you just never know
Yep. Tomorrow is
when.
definitely never promised. So
Yeah, yeah, and if there's something you've been wanting to do, a hobby that you've been wanting to take up, a skill that you've been wanting to learn, um, go do it, and
exactly.
pursue it, and pursue it. And if you decide it's not for you and it's not fun, find something else, and keep going out there and learning. Live a life of learning and fun and exploration. And I think, Nathan, to go out there a month every morning in a kayak, before sunrise, and get out there to pursue those kind of pictures. I admire that, and I think it's great.
I appreciate that.
It's great to hear that. So, thank you very much for coming on,
Thanks for
and
having me.
thanks. Yeah, thanks for the folks that are tuning in, and again, Nathan, thanks a lot, and we'll go ahead and sign off, and wish everybody a good June, and enjoy the beginning of summer, and look forward to catching you on our next episode. Thank you
Thank
much.
you.